Good morning. I'm Pete Najarian. Sorry about the technical issues we were struggling with, but here we are now. It's the start of a new week. You look back at last week. What an incredible week. And I'll tell you what, we started out Friday. We kind of dipped. We sort of chopped around just a little bit. We did finish up about 30 some odd points to the upside on the Dow. You look over at the NASDAQ, it was basically close to a flat ending of the day, but down just a little bit. I think 3 or 4 points. But the reality is, what an incredible week. We started off with a week down 1,000 points. We actually closed that day down 600 points. Then we actually started to move a little bit. And by the time we got to Wednesday, we're up 340 points. Thursday, we're up 500 points. Friday, as I say, up about 30 points, just erasing what we'd seen on Monday. So a pretty incredible week. We had volumes that were extreme, 38 million contracts. You take a look at volatility, obviously, the ups and downs of volatility. We actually finished down into the 17s by the time we closed out the week, which was pretty interesting, especially with the lower 17s. And so we had definitely pulled back in a big way. We had energy moving to the upside. We had financials starting to move to the upside. Some of the biggest movers, when you look at Costco, we look at earnings, we look at Costco and Nike. Now, Nike was down significantly, down one of the biggest drops that Nike's had in a very long time, down about 6%. Meanwhile, you look over at Costco, up about 3.5%, and it's still not that terribly far away from some of those highs. Salesforce just continues to be a force and continues to be an absolute unbelievable mover to the upside, and obviously having some influence on the Dow because of that. Cruise ships all had a pretty nice day by the end of the day, up at least 3% or more. You look at Carnival, you look at RCL, you look at Norwegian, all of them having a very good day. Moderna, not so much. That was down about 5.5%. But the Chinese stocks also had some of that pressure as well. So you can understand why the NASDAQ really underperformed versus what we were seeing coming out of, at least towards the end of the week, what we see coming out of the Dow on Friday. So you move forward just a little bit, you wake up on Monday, and suddenly we're looking at where these rates have moved to in a very, very fast. We've been talking about the velocity of the moves does matter. And with the velocity of this move in the 10-year up 1.5, you're looking at an area where the markets now are trying to grapple with this whole thing. It looks really great in terms of the Dow. The Dow just started to accelerate to the upside. It was up 50 points, then 100 points, then 200 points, then 260 points. Meanwhile, you look over at the NASDAQ, it was under some serious pressure. Matter of fact, on the lower end, we were down over 150, 160 points. We did get a little bit of a rally off of that. The last I looked, we're down maybe 70, 80 points when you look over at the NASDAQ. So you can see that disparity there with that move in the 10-year. And along with that, take a look at what's going on with crude, which finished out the week last week in the 73s. Today, trading closer in above 75, a really substantial move. We started off the morning when we were first looking, energy was leading, but it was about 2.5%. Then it was 3%. And the last I looked, it was up more than 3.5%. Financials, kind of the same path, up 1%, 1.5%, still continuing to move to the upside. A nice jump there. Materials kind of following that lead as well. But you look over at technology, starts off down 1%. Next thing you know, it was down 1.5%. It's gotten off of those lows, along with the semiconductors that were down about 0.75%, then down 1.5%. You get the idea. You can understand the movements that we are seeing within the NASDAQ and within the Dow itself. So a lot of that going on, a lot of different crazy trades. I'll tell you some of the standouts. Chevron having an absolutely unbelievable day once again to the upside, up about 3%. Goldman Sachs having a great day, up 2%. JP Morgan as well, up more than 2%. But those beta energy names, again, we continue to bring those names up. We're talking about gains of over 6% across the board. We're looking at Occidental, Marathon, both Marathons, both Marathon Petroleum and Marathon Oil having a great day. Then you look at Valero. Then you look at the old days of Apache, APA. All these names having a really nice move to the upside, and on the downside, you can see the apples and some of the rest of those names. So a quick jump out of here, but I've got two unusuals before I do. And then tomorrow, you'll see me over on the halftime report after we do the market, the take. But today, this is it. So I've got my two unusuals for you. Bank of America stands out number one. Financials on an absolute tear to the upside, seeing option paper across the board in financials. We've talked about the XLF paper. Bank of America stock was trading 43 and a quarter. We had a buyer of 10,000 of the October 1st, that's Friday, October 1st expiring calls. Those were about 30 cents up to about 40 cents. Stock was already trading close to 43 and a quarter by the time all that was executed. So that one definitely stood out. How about this one? Ford, a big, huge roll from the 14 strike up to the 14 and a half strike in Ford. 41,000 of the October 8th expiring, so giving themselves 2 weeks now, the 14 and a half calls. 41,000 of those, 17 cents up to about 20 cents. Is Ford going to start to make that move to the upside? Sure looks like somebody's very happy with that move from the 14s up to a little bit higher and through 14. It was trading 14.50 at the time of this trade. We'll see if that's going to be continuing to move to the upside based upon this call roll that we are seeing. But somebody who's already been right would like to be right again, and that's a lot of option paper that we're seeing there as well. Folks, have a great day of trading. We'll look forward to seeing you tomorrow.